Hi, I am Angus Wright, and I also go by Angus By Design. And this is another day in a personal practice of which I call my Satsang for One, where I listen to an episode of the Be Here Now podcast featuring Ram Dass. I create a journal about it. I write some quotes down in a physical journal, and then I pull an animal oracle card in order to cultivate mindfulness and for reflection. I do all of this as part of my own personal wellness recovery action planning and as part of my daily maintenance for maintaining my own health and well being. And so today's episode was entitled The Still Small Voice Within. So I'm going to share some quotes. The first one is called The Still Small Voice Within. Though we have lived our life totally involved in the world, we know that we are of the Spirit. As you go towards God, you learn about yourself. When you return from God, you learn about the world. You cannot see the forest for the trees. Ram Dass. And the next one's fuel for the flame. At first, that still small voice, that tiny ember, is overshadowed by the incredible pressures, desires, attachments, and possessions of the world. Ram Dass. This one's a little bit of a long one. And it's sort of under the title of Evergreen Teachings. The real work you have to do is in the privacy of your own heart. All of the external forms are lovely, but the real work is your inner connection. First with your playmate, beyond that with God, and actually with your own self. It's really time for you to see through the absurdity of your own predicament. You aren't who you thought you were. You just aren't that person. And in this very lifetime, you can know it right now. Every miracle which occurred in the Bible is occurring on this earth at this moment. I am living in a world of miracles, and they are all just the stuff of it all. Nothing of living truth has been lost. It is all right here. Not for later, it's for now, right now. If you feel a veil away from it all, if you feel closed from it, just quiet your mind. Open your heart. Quiet the mind. Open the heart. How do you quiet the mind? How do you open the heart? You just love what you can love and just keep expanding. You love a tree, you love a river, you love a leaf, you love a flower, you love a cat, you love a human, but go deeper and deeper into that love until you love that which is the source behind all of it. Ram Dass. So, with that in mind, thinking about love, thinking about all of the things that keep us attached, right? I love the word predicament because that's how sometimes these things that we get attached to feel, right? They're like problems we feel like we maybe need to solve. At least that's how I feel. So I'm just going to put that message into the cards and see what the oracle tells us, right? Thinking about all the things, all the people, all the times where I felt absolute love. Okay. That's the one. So today's card, again, is Fox Spirit. And Fox Spirit says, think on your feet. And today's a new day, so I'm going to read it again, and I'm going to use it for mindful reflection and meditation, right? So Fox Spirit, think on your feet. The oracle message behind this card. So be alert, for Fox Spirit has appeared and you are meant to move swiftly. Let this clever spirit draw out your creativity as you adjust to rapidly changing circumstance with resilience, grace, and astuteness. Fox Spirit helps you to think on your feet, using your best judgment and wits to help you slip into a more advantageous situation. Now is not a time to hesitate, but a time for swift action of the mind. A time to think outside the box and notice the many ways in which you might make a move. Aware of your surroundings and always clear on what you deserve and wish to co-create. Trust that your cleverness, guided by Fox Spirit, will serve you well. The protection message behind this card says, are you camouflaging yourself to avoid intimacy? Perhaps you're being too clever for your own good and playing games to protect yourself. Being dishonest with yourself or others can become isolating and create obstacles to true connection. Fox Spirit calls you to be attuned to what is happening within you and around you so that your quick thinking and creativity can lead you to better relationships and situations. You are called to use your Fox Spirit beneficially rather than in a way to keep you from experiencing what you want. Or perhaps right now you're realizing that a situation is trickier than it appears on the surface, and you are afraid to make a move in case it turns out to be a mistake. Fox Spirit is here to remind you that when you are in alignment with the Great Spirit, the answers and solutions can come quickly and you can trust them. Don't overthink a situation in order to avoid the challenge of facing a difficult truth. Fox Spirit's creative nature will always be there to guide you and help you move quickly into better circumstances. Wow. Sometimes it feels like even though I know the Fox Spirit's come up before, right? Even though I know it's come up multiple times, sometimes it feels like I'm reading it for the first time. Um, some of the themes in my own personal life lately have been talking about the difference between being alone and loneliness, for example. Um, I recently lost two dogs to old age as part of their life cycle, right? And they were two of three. And so it was an end of an era, for example. And losing the connection to their physical bodies, uh, losing the connection to being able to reach out and touch them and hug them and feel them and be part of their heartbeats. Um, you know, it, it it left me wondering, what the hell? So this really does hit home for me. Um, in my personal life, in my personal trauma, in my personal history, talking about the division, the separation, the judgments, all of those things that lead me to question, right? Lead me to overthink. And what I love about this card is how it ties into the idea of just love what you can love, right? In my background, I have plants. I love those plants. I love where they come from. Every book on those shelves behind me, every little ornament, every little piece is something that I've curated and cultivated in order to remind me of where I am and who I am and what I'm about. And it's a great place to start to cultivate mindfulness and love, right? I love the fact that it's sunny. I love the color of and the protection that the sweater gives from the cool air. And I can just expand from there. Fox Spirit saying, think on your feet, just acts as a reminder to me that if I'm just thinking on my feet, then it usually means that I'm doing and experiencing, right? As opposed to sitting and ruminating. And in my past, in my personal history, especially around wellness, I've had many days where I've just sat and thought 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 and thought. In fear, in pain, in concern, and missing out on those days, right? So where I am right here, right now, I can rest assured that I am where I'm meant to be. I have the people in my life who are meant to be there because they keep showing up for me in ways that teach me. And I feel so lucky in that. I love the relationship that I've developed with me. I love that I can make these videos and not worry if anybody ever sees them, because they're a sign of the work that I'm doing for me. And it's been a couple of years now since I made a very clear decision to myself and recommitted to loving who I am, where I am. And for people who know me and know me long term, I wasn't always able to do that. And circumstances in life and choices I made and experiences I had led me to be a person that I wasn't. And I just love everything about today's lecture, today's quotes, and the Fox Spirit, who keeps showing up so that I can get the hint and get the message. So please let me be the one to say that I love you, and I hope you're well. And if you wish, subscribe, get notifications, get in touch, tell me about you, tell me about your experiences, and list the things that you love so that I can be reminded of all the things that I love. Namaste.